Continental Free Trade Area, Chief of Staff at the Office of the President, officials of the Presidency, Senior Minister, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Minister for Trade and Industry, Ministers and Deputy Ministers of State, Members of Parliament, Dean and members of the Diplomatic Corps, traditional rulers, fellow Ghanaians and fellow Africans, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome all who are coming from beyond our shores to our picturesque, vibrant capital city of Accra, particularly the chairperson of the African Union Commission, His Excellency Musa Faki Mohammed. We're honored, sir, by your presence amongst us. I extend a hearty welcome, a word of welcome to you and all others, and I hope you're all enjoying your stay, the pandemic notwithstanding, amongst the people famed for their hospitality. When the African Union, AU, convened an extraordinary summit in Kigali, the capital of the Republic of Rwanda, on 21st March 2018, to adopt and sign the legal instruments for the establishment of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA. There were many who did not believe African countries were ready to meet the required minimum threshold of 22 member state ratifications needed for the AfCFTA to come into effect. On 30th May 2019, a year later, after the minimum threshold was met, with Ghana and Kenya being the first to deposit on the same day their instruments of ratification with the AU Commission, the operational phase of the AfCFTA was launched as the agreement had become effective. A little over a month after this seminal event, we gathered in Niamey, capital of the Republic of Niger, on 7 July 2019, at the 12th extraordinary session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the AU, where Ghana was selected by her peers to play host to the Secretariat of the African Continental Free Trade Area. Indeed, for a country generally acknowledged as the pioneer of modern Africanism, under the dynamic leadership of our first president, Kwame Nkrumah, a country whose people made great sacrifices to spearhead the struggle for the liberation of the African continent from colonialism, imperialism, and the racist system of apartheid. This is the first time in our 63 years of nationhood and in 57 years of the founding of the Organization of African Unity, OAU, the precursor to the AU, that we have the responsibility and privilege of hosting an important Pan-African institution. So today is an auspicious day for Ghana, and on behalf of the Ghanaian people and their government, I express our appreciation once again to the Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the AU for its decision. I thank also my fellow Ghanaians, the first President of Ghana's Fourth Republic, His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings, the second President of the Fourth Republic, His Excellency John Ajikun Akufo, former First Lady, Her Excellency Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings, Asantehene Utufo Osei-Tutu II, the Minister for Trade and Industry, Alan Kyerematen, who brilliantly led Ghana's efforts, and other officials of government for the diverse roles they played in helping to promote Ghana's successful bid. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in Niamey, I assure that Ghana, caretaker of the Secretariat, will put all the requisite facilities at its disposal so that it could run as a world-class organization. Indeed, As part of the hosting agreement, Ghana was requested by the Assembly to work with the AU Commission to ensure an expeditious and efficient process of establishing a permanent secretariat for the AfCFTA in Accra. Ghana has fully discharged all her obligations and commitments agreed with the AU Commission, and we are today handing over a fully furnished and befitting office space in a secured and easily accessible location within the business center of Accra as the permanent secretariat of the AfCFTA. We have provided also an appropriate furnished residential accommodation as the official residence of the Secretary General of the AfCFTA. I have no doubt the coming into being of the African Continental Free Trade Area is one of the most important decisions taken by the EU. When you consider the fact that trade between African countries remains low, currently standing at some 16% of our combined GDP, compared to other parts of the world, like the European Union 75%, it is obvious that these very low levels of intra-regional trade constitute one of the defining characteristics of our continuing poverty. They hinder our prospects of bringing prosperity to our peoples. A large part of the growth and prosperity that we seek on the continent will come from us trading more amongst ourselves. We in Ghana believe that an increase in trade is the surest way to deepen regional integration in Africa. It will mean a rapid increase in the exchange of agricultural, industrial, financial, scientific, and technological products, which would significantly enhance our economic fortunes as a continent, create prosperity, and provide opportunities for employment for the broad masses of Africans, particularly the youth. The economic integration of Africa will lay a foundation for an Africa beyond aid. It is for this reason that I have continued in the footsteps of my predecessors, fighting for the cause of African unity. An effective implementation of the AfCFTA will dispel the notion that the AU is not capable of executing its own decisions. Africa's new sense of urgency and aspiration of true self-reliance will be amply demonstrated by today's ceremony. In this regard, I appeal to all member states who are yet to ratify the AfCFTA agreement to take advantage of the postponement of the date start of trading and to do so by December 2020 to enable us trade fully amongst ourselves so we can harness the benefits of the AfCFTA together. The pandemic has heightened the importance of the success of the AfCFTA. The disruption of global supply chains has reinforced the necessity for closer integration amongst us so that we can boost our mutual self-sufficiency, strengthen our economies, and reduce our dependence on external sources. We are now the world's largest free trade area since the formation of the World Trade Organization, and we must make it count. Covering a market of 1.2 billion people, a combined GDP of some 3 trillion United States dollars across the 54 member states of the AU that have signed up to the agreement, it will provide the vehicle for us to trade among ourselves in a more modern and sophisticated manner. It will offer a huge opportunity to exploit abundant wealth and resources of our great continent for the benefit of all our people. And it will give us protection in how to deal with other trading blocs. So I urge member states to put in an extra effort to conclude all outstanding implementation issues for their adoption by the AU Assembly in the next Extraordinary Summit scheduled for December 2020 to pave way for the smooth commencement of trading on 1st January 2021. As we welcome the newly elected first Secretary General of the Secretariat, Mr. Wamkele Kebetwe Meni, and his family to Ghana, I know that he is fully aware of the enormous task ahead of him and his colleagues who will be managing the Secretariat. Secretary General, a heartfelt akwaba to you and your family. Ghanaians always had a sense of special solidarity with South Africans, so you will be at home here. The AfCFTA Framework Agreement provides for a functionally autonomous, independent institution within the EU system. In upholding this and other provisions of the agreement, the Secretary General must work towards building a strong, efficient, and effective Secretariat with the capacity to implement the various trade rules in line with the text of the agreement to help build credibility and reduce trade policy uncertainty in the continent. The world is watching to see whether the Secretariat will indeed provide the springboard for Africa's economic integration and rapid growth. And I'm confident that under your tenure, it will. Mr. Secretary General, rest assured of the firm support of the government of Ghana for your work and activities. Before I conclude, let me commend highly the President of the Republic of Niger, His Excellency Mamadou Issoufou, current chair of ECOWAS, for the stellar work he has done in championing the African Continental Free Trade Initiative. No one has done more to ensure the coming into force of the AfCFTA than President Issoufou. Our posterity will reward his name accordingly. To His Excellency Musa Faki Mahamat, Chairperson of the AU Commission, Deputy Chairperson, Ambassador Kwesi Kwote, the Commissioners, and the entire staff of the AU Commission, say well done for your hard work in supporting the process leading to this historic day. I end by congratulating and saluting my good friend, His Excellency Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa, President of the Republic of South Africa and current chair of the Authority of the Assembly of the AU, for the benign progressive guidance and supervision he has offered to make today possible. Accordingly, ladies and gentlemen, your excellencies, I have the greatest pleasure formally to commission and hand over the office of the AfCFTA Secretariat to the African Union Commission. May God... May God bless Mother Africa and us and make her great and strong. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And now may I request that you remain on stage, Mr. President, and may I ask that you be joined by the Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Excellency Musa Faki, for the official commissioning and handover of the AfCFTA Secretariat. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President will hand over, first of all, a scroll to Excellency Musa Faki. Round of applause for the first handing over. And now, ladies and gentlemen, and when the possession of His Excellency Musa Faki, Chairperson of the African Union Mission, is the key to the AfCFTA Secretariat, the symbolic key, if I may put it that way. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now allow His Excellency Musa Faki, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, to share a few words.
His Excellency Nana Akufo Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Akufo Mamadou, President of the Republic of Niger, His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the Republic of South Africa and Chairperson of the African Union, His Excellency Jerry Rawlings, former President of Ghana, Excellencies, member of the Diplomatic Corps, His Excellency Wamkele Mene, AfCFTA Secretary General, Honorable Ministers, ladies and gentlemen. I am honored to be here to witness the handover of the headquarters of the AfCFTA Secretariat by the Republic of Ghana to the African Union. I wish to thank President Nana Akufo Addo for the warm welcome and gracious hospitality accorded to me during my visit. In the same token, I wish to salute his steadfast leadership in making the strong and legitimate case for the Secretariat to host it here in Ghana. This included contributing financial resources to ensure this important symbol of our union is ready today. Thank you, Your Excellency. I also wish to pay special tribute to President Issoufou Mahamadou of Niger and champion of the flagship AfCFTA project. His strong and sustained advocacy oversaw the fastest ratification and entry in force of an AU instrument, second only to that of the AU Constitutive Act. Merci, Monsieur le Président. We are also here today, thanks to the unfailing support and leadership of President Ramaphosa, our chair, who has made the operationalization of AfCFTA a priority during his tenure. Indeed, today marks a historic milestone in the road to fulfill the vision of our founding father for continental integration that dates back to the inaugural session of the OAU in 1963, articulated more strongly by then President Kwame Nkrumah in his landmark speech. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we stand here today despite a global COVID-19 pandemic that has caused major disruptions to global trade and the movement of goods and people. It is fitting that the Secretariat will have its home here in Accra. Ghana is a historical trading center for gold, cocoa and timbers and other valuable goods, and remains an important center of commerce on the continent and beyond. Accra is also and has always been guardian of our collective Pan-African memory, not only as a home of thought, but also as a port of safety and freedom for fellow Africans fleeing persecution and for people of African descent seeking refuge or simply coming back home. Madame, you're coming from the United States, you're an African American, welcome back home. While the operationalization of the Secretariat was postponed due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the same pandemic has also magnified the need for speed to accelerate economic integration on the continent. This crisis is negative impact on trade and the multilateral system is also an opportunity to rethink our value chains and reduce our reliance on traditional supply routes. To ensure we can absorb the negative impacts of future pandemics, we must integrate our markets, accelerate industrial development, enhance competitiveness to ensure a prosperous, peaceful, integrated future for our people. When COVID-19 hit, Africa took strong and early action to the surprise of many. We opened essential corridors to facilitate the transport and delivery of urgently needed equipment and first responders to member states. We also set up a pooled procurement platform of medical supplies for member states. And at the CDC, the AU Agency for Public Health Strategies is ably coordinating the continental response. Africa demonstrated resilience and also a sense of cooperation and solidarity in the face of this common threat. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is the same spirit of unity that has brought us here today to this physical manifestation of a key economic Pan-African agenda that will be led by Honorable Wamkele Mwene, whose vast experience, vision, and competence belies his relative youth. Congratulations, my brother. I am sure you will take care of this beautiful headquarters. I cannot finish without applauding African trade ministers, including Minister Alan Keratin here today, whose strong contribution, I remember, together with Foreign Minister Shirley Bush, was critical not only to Ghana's victory to host the AfCFTA Secretariat, but also for the success of the entire process. I can also not forget the AU Commissioner of Trade, Albert Muchanga, who together with his team and their hard work brought us to this historic milestone. Let me now conclude with the words of Kwame Nkrumah, and I quote, "The task ahead is great indeed. Heavy is responsibility, and yet it is a noble and glorious challenge. A challenge which calls for the courage to believe, the courage to dare, the courage to do, the courage to fight, the courage to achieve." I thank you for your attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker could easily be described as the strongest man in Africa, on whose shoulders this huge responsibility has just been placed. Please allow me, and a very welcoming and encouraging round of applause, allow me to bring to the podium His Excellency, the first Secretary General of the AfCFTA, His Excellency Wamkele Mwene.
Thank you very much, Program Director. His Excellency President Akufo Addo, the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency former President Jerry Rawlings, His Excellency Mr. Musa Faki Mohammed, the Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Honorable Professor Okwei, Speaker of the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana, Your Lordship Justice Aninwa, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Otua Serubwe, Chairman of the 7th Council of State, Honorable Minister Botri, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Honorable Minister Alan Cherry-Martin, Minister for Trade and Industry, Honorable Members of Parliament, Excellencies, Ambassadors, High Commissioners, traditional leaders, religious leaders, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends. On this occasion of the formal commissioning and handing over of the AfCFTA Secretariat, let me express my deep humility for having been elected by the 33rd Ordinary Session of the Assembly of Heads of States and Government of the African Union to the position of the first Secretary General of the AfCFTA Secretariat. Mission to be at the service of Africa, a mission which I will undertake with resolute determination. Since the end of colonialism, the Republic of Ghana has been at the forefront of advancing efforts for the integration of Africa. Ghana's contribution to Pan-Africanism ensured that Pan-Africanism has a sound intellectual and philosophical basis. It is therefore natural that as we take the significant step towards the integration of the market in Africa, that the AfCFTA Secretariat is in Accra, Ghana, and that Ghana continues to be at the vanguard of integration in Africa. On behalf of all Africans, Your Excellency, Mr. President, I thank the people of Ghana, I thank the government of Ghana for providing world-class facilities that will enable Africa to progress towards the historic mission of achieving an integrated Africa. The Republic of Ghana and the people of Ghana, at great sacrifice, made an unprecedented contribution to the fight to end colonialism in Africa and the defeat of apartheid in South Africa. I was born and raised in apartheid during a period when the depraved apartheid regime was at its brutality. Through the Organization of African Unity, which was inspired by the leadership of Ghana, the continent declared that Africa shall not be free until the people of South Africa are themselves free of the shackles and bondage of apartheid. The fact that a South African who was born and raised under apartheid is able to stand before you today, mandated by the Assembly of Heads of States, to advance the imperatives of Pan-Africanism, truly is a remarkable testament to Ghana's long-held principle that Africa shall not be free until people of South Africa are free from the shackles and bondage of apartheid. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, since the negotiations were launched in Johannesburg in 2015, remarkable progress has been achieved, largely because of the political will and commitment of the Assembly of Heads of States and Government of the African Union to ensure that Africa takes concrete steps towards the creation of an integrated market. In this regard, I wish to join His Excellency the President of the Republic and His Excellency the Chairperson of the Commission to pay tribute to the President of the Republic of Niger, His Excellency President Mamadou Issoufou, the champion and leader of the AfCFTA, for his unwavering and dedicated leadership of the AfCFTA negotiations. Under his leadership and guidance as the champion of the AfCFTA, Africa confounded critics. 54 countries have signed the agreement. 28 countries have ratified it, making it one of the fastest ratification in the history of the African Union. Since my election in February 2020, His Excellency Musa Faki Mohammed and his team provided me with the resources and the support that I needed during the period that I was at Addis Ababa, waiting to transition to Accra. I thank him for his leadership and political support during this difficult time when it appeared that COVID-19 would obstruct our efforts. Merci beaucoup, mon grand frère. Through the leadership of the chairperson of the Assembly, His Excellency President Ramaphosa of South Africa, Africa was able to coordinate an effective public health, trade, and debt relief response to the COVID-19 crisis, thereby enabling the mitigation of the impact of the crisis. I thank the President for his leadership. I was here in Accra in 2012 as a senior trade official when we adopted the Boosting Intra-Africa Trade Action Plan and the Action Plan for AfCFTA negotiations, which were later adopted the Assembly Intra-Africa Trade Action Plan. We all appreciate the significance of export specialization, underdeveloped regional value chains. Of course, high regulatory is a very low percentage of intra-Africa trade of between 15 and 18%, and as noted, an over-reliance on the export of primary commodities to traditional markets of the North. In other words, Africa continues to be trapped in a colonial economic model, which requires that we aggressively implement the AfCFTA as one of the tools for effecting a fundamental structural transformation of Africa's economy. We have to take action now. We have to take action to dismantle the colonial economic model that we inherited. AfCFTA is therefore a critical response to Africa's economic development challenges. It has the potential to enable Africa to significantly boost intra-Africa trade, to improve economies of scale through an integrated market. It has the potential to be a catalyst for industrial development, placing Africa on a path to exporting value-added products and improving Africa's competitiveness both in its own markets and globally. It also sends a very strong signal to international investors that Africa is open for business based on a single rule book, trade and investment. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the AfCFTA signals that Africa is open for business and for mutually beneficial investment, thereby creating jobs and improving livelihoods. We're a market of 1.2 billion people. We have a combined GDP of $3.4 trillion. We boast over 400 companies that earn annual revenues of $1 billion or more. And according to Professor Lurisinye and Acha Leke, writing in 2019 in the publication Foresight Africa, a Brookings Institute publication, African industries have the opportunity to double production to nearly $1 trillion within a decade, with 3/4 of growth coming from the manufacturing sector to substitute third country imports and meet increasing local demand in Africa. And of course, through the last half of the decade, 7 of the world's 10 fastest growing economies in the world were in Africa, according to the IMF World Economic Outlook database of October 2019. Indeed, Your Excellencies, this indicates that Africa is open for business. This is a period of unprecedented challenges to the global economy and the multilateral trading system on which the global economy is anchored. The multilateral trading system is under severe strain largely due to what appears to be an abandonment of the rules that underpin it. This strain on the multilateral trading system has a risk of reversing the modest gains that we made in placing development at the center of the multilateral trading system since we launched the Doha Development Round in Qatar in 2001. Africa's response against this strain on the multilateral trading system must be to consolidate and advance our continental market integration objectives through the AfCFTA. And under the leadership of President Issoufou as the champion of the African Continental Free Trade Area, our collective priority should be to rapidly conclude Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the negotiations of the AfCFTA in order to unlock Africa's full productive capacity. The ongoing COVID-19 crisis has ravaged global economic activity. It has severely disrupted trade and global supply chains. Of course, it has had a negative effect on public health. Africa should not despair and fall into despondency. From a trade perspective, we should see this as an opportunity. Through the AfCFTA, we have an opportunity to reconfigure our supply chains, to reduce reliance on us, and to expedite the establishment of regional value chains that will boost intra-Africa trade and secure Africa's productive capacity for generations to come. In this connection, in the last 4 months since I have been elected, I have already initiated and very promising engagements with 3 of the world's largest automobile manufacturers with the view to establishment of automobile value chains across the African continent. I intend to extend this type of an engagement to include other labor-intensive sectors such as agro-processing. In this endeavor, the AfCFTA Secretariat shall work with our sister Department of Trade and Industry at the African Union Commission, as well as our partners such as UNECA and Afreximbank, to advance Africa's industrial development objectives. We should be in no doubt, ladies and gentlemen, as much progress as we have made, there will be implementation-related challenges ahead. Substantial domestic policy reforms and alignment of national legislation with the AfCFTA shall be required in order to reduce barriers to intra-Africa trade. Transshipment of goods from third countries outside of the AfCFTA zone will be a significant risk. The AfCFTA Secretariat will work closely with customs authorities across Africa to ensure that through robust implementation of the AfCFTA rules of origin, the prevention of transshipment is an absolute priority. The AfCFTA must create jobs. It must not create job losses through transshipment of third country goods into the AfCFTA market. As the Secretary General, I committed to ensuring that the AfCFTA is effectively implemented such that there is shared and inclusive economic growth across the African continent. The clash against trade, free trade, and trade liberalization that we witnessed in recent years is not because trade liberalization is intrinsically beneficial exclusively to a certain elite or to certain countries. Rather, the backlash is in part attributable to the unequal distribution of the benefits of international trade and the lack of shared and inclusive growth. The lesson, therefore, for the AfCFTA from this backlash against trade liberalization and the pursuit of free trade is that beyond boosting trade flows, the question of equitable distribution of the gains of the AfCFTA must be at the center of its implementation. If the AfCFTA is perceived to benefit only a handful of relatively industrialized countries in Africa and a handful of African multinational corporations, it shall be rejected by Africans, and deservedly so. In this regard, we should recall that the empowerment of women, young Africans, and other disadvantaged segments of our society is a central objective of Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. We know from empirical evidence that women, young Africans, small medium enterprises confront significant challenges when attempting to benefit from trade agreements. I therefore intend to take concrete steps to ensure that women and young Africans are at the center, at the heart of implementation and of the benefits of the AfCFTA. The AfCFTA must create opportunities for women in trade, amongst others, by lowering the gender wage gap. Young Africans who are cutting edge of technological innovation for digital trade and e-commerce must also be at the heart of implementation of the AfCFTA. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, as I conclude, let me observe that 2020 is the year of silencing the guns, providing an opportunity to focus on fast-tracking Africa's economic development objectives. Successful implementation of the AfCFTA shall consolidate the gains that were seen in Agenda 2063, the Africa we want, and indeed take us a step closer to the Africa we want. During this time of COVID-19, whilst many countries are able to provide billions of dollars worth of stimulus packages to re-inject growth and economic activity, very few African countries have the fiscal, policy, and monetary policy space to provide similar stimulus packages. Therefore, aggressively implementing the AfCFTA has the potential to be Africa's economic recovery tool. Boosting intra-Africa trade has the potential to contribute to Africa's recovery year on year from 2021 onwards. Africa has confounded critics. Many doubted that we would be able to achieve the progress that we recorded. Standing on the shoulders of the great liberation struggle heroes of our time, we did fail in this historic mission to integrate Africa. I thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I ask for another round of applause for our first Secretary General of the AfCFTA Secretariat here in Accra, Ghana. And now, unfortunately, His Excellency Mahamadou Issoufou couldn't join us. However, he did send us his goodwill message. Please take a look.
Excellence, Monsieur Nana Akufo Addo, Président de la République du Ghana, Monsieur Moussa Faki Mahamat, Président de la Commission de l'Union africaine, Monsieur le Secrétaire exécutif de la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine, Mesdames et Messieurs, le processus de mise en œuvre de l'accord instituant la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine va franchir aujourd'hui une nouvelle étape, celle de l'installation définitive du secrétaire exécutif de cette institution dans ses propres cours. En ma qualité de champion de la zone de libre continentale africaine, permettez-moi de me réjouir de cet important événement qui constitue un signe de plus que ce projet emblématique de l'Union africaine avance et poursuit inexorablement son chemin malgré les vicissitudes liées notamment à la pandémie Covid-19 qui affecte l'ensemble de la planète. Le 12e sommet extraordinaire de l'Union africaine, tenu à Niamey le 7 juillet 2019, a procédé au lancement officiel de la zone libre-échange continentale africaine et a pris la décision qu'Accra, capitale du Ghana, patrie du docteur Kwame Nkrumah, l'un des pères fondateurs de l'Union africaine, accueillera le siège du secrétariat de la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine. L'Afrique doit suivre ou périr, avait dit éminent panafricaniste. En créant la zone de libre continentale africaine, nous avons fait le choix de nous unir. En acceptant d'accueillir le siège de la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine, le Ghana reste fidèle aux convictions de ce digne fils de l'Afrique. Plus d'efforts nécessaires au démarrage de l'institution, le président Nana Akufo Addo, en mettant gracieusement à la disposition de notre organisation continentale, l'Union africaine, un immeuble de grande ligue pour abriter le secrétariat de la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine, traduit en actes la volonté du peuple ghanéen à rester un des porte-flambeaux de l'intégration africaine. En ma qualité de champion de la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine, je tiens à l'en remercier et à remercier le gouvernement et le peuple ghanéen pour ce geste généreux, témoignant de l'engagement du Ghana en faveur d'une intégration véritable du continent. Mesdames et Messieurs, notre continent dispose d'un actif démographique croissant. Pour transmettre cet actif démographique en dividendes économiques, il faut non seulement soigner, éduquer, former sa jeunesse, mais aussi fournir des emplois aux 10 à 12 millions de jeunes Africains qui arrivent chaque année sur le marché du travail aujourd'hui. Seule la mise en œuvre de l'agenda 2063 et de ses plans et programmes peut nous permettre d'y parvenir. La zone de libre-échange continentale africaine est un outil formidable à cette fin. Elle n'est pas un programme isolé. Elle forme, avec d'autres plans et programmes de l'Union africaine, un tout cohérent dans la perspective de renforcer l'intégration régionale et atteindre les objectifs de l'agenda 2063. Sans infrastructures routières, ferroviaires, aéroportuaires, portuaires et de télécommunications, objet du plan de développement des infrastructures de l'Union africaine, la zone de libre-échange continental africain sera une coquille vide. Il en sera de
and it will be the same without the implementation of other plans pertaining to industry, agriculture, and mining, and so on. Especially the industrialization of our continent will enable us to put an end to the status of simple reservoirs of materials which belong to the colonial past. Our people want a dynamic and integrated area where their products and services would move free. We made this promise and we gave this hope by signing the agreement establishing the CFTA 23rd March 2019 in Kigali and got it ratified by the minimum of 22 in 30th May 2019. That is within 1 year, which is unprecedented in the history of our continental organization. We made this promise and we gave this up by launching the process of operationalization of the CFTA the 7th of July 2019 in Niamey, and today for the takeoff of the answer. Unfortunately, COVID-19 has disturbed our plans. However, we need to adapt and speed up, fast track the efforts in order to meet the promises we made to our people. And I would like to seize the opportunity to ask all the stakeholders of the CFTA to pool their efforts and resources and energies so that the objectives that we have set ourselves will be achieved, particularly the finalization of the issues of removal of tariffs and as well as issues pertaining to rules of origin. To this end, I am pleased that the Afro champions made a proposal to provide logistic and technological support to ensure that the activities pertaining to CFTA through the virtual platforms. Our ministers and negotiators and specialists to seize the opportunity for this offer by Afro champions to organize virtual meetings and take the necessary measures so that the relevant activities could be carried out and so that the transactions of the CFTA could effectively take place. The Secretariat of the CFTA should be assigned the necessary budget and recruit the necessary personnel so that the work can go on. I know that the president of the AU Commission, Monsieur Faki, knows what to do, and I hereby salute him for the work he's been doing. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to exhort all of us to maintain a sense of unity and solidarity and dignity as cardinal African values which we have inherited from the founding fathers of our organization. Let us remain committed and resolutely determined to pursue the process of the operationalization of the CFTA and other programs and plans of Agenda 2063. Thank you for kind attention.
And now a goodwill message from His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the Republic of South Africa, will be delivered by Her Excellency, the South African High Commissioner to Ghana, Madame Lulu Sinkwana.
President of Niger and AU champion of the AfCFTA, Mr. Moussa Faki, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Mr. Wamkele Mene, Secretary General of the AfCFTA, Honorable Ministers, Members of Parliament, Ambassadors, and members of the Diplomatic Corps, led by our Dean here, Nananu Name, distinguished guests, Mr. President, I respectfully stand to deliver a statement on behalf of the African Union Chair, His Excellency, Mr. Madamela Cyril Ramaphosa, the President of South Africa. A statement reads as follows. Excellencies, allow me first of all to congratulate the President of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, for hosting the AfCFTA headquarters, as well as the Secretary General, Mr. Wamkele Nene. His other name is Kiabetswi, Mr. President, which means I have been given. When you have son, you give him a piece of land to there, and it is Sutu Kiabetswi. He says, I've been given Kiabetswi. And then his second name is Xhosa. It means Wamkele. He has accepted. We also welcome our Makoti, which means bride in my language. Mr. President, on behalf of the African Union and the entire continent, I express our profound gratitude to the government and people of Ghana for generously honoring the building and residence which house the AfCFTA and Secretary General. This day indeed is historic and a strong affirmation of the vision of an integrated Africa, which was envisioned by the founding fathers of the OAU, led by, of course, among others, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, 57 years ago. It is a fitting tribute that the AfCFTA headquarters are housed here in Ghana, the capital of Pan-Africanism, in fact, where the first country to be liberated was in Africa, was Ghana. Therefore, it is fitting that the headquarters of the AfCFTA are being housed here in Accra. I want to reassure you, Mr. Mene, the Chair's unwavering support as you execute your responsibilities of promoting the successful implementation of the AfCFTA as entrusted by you by the continent. Mr. Mene, you are facing enormous challenges ahead, but they are not insurmountable. When successfully implemented, the AfCFTA will be a huge milestone towards the realization of Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. As AU Chair, I also wish to assure you of the AU's commitment to the successful implementation of the AfCFTA as a practical contribution to the economic development of Africa. We welcome the progress achieved thus far in the implementation of the NAMI decision of July 2019. We also acknowledge the challenges that still exist in negotiations at the moment, in particular around the issue of rules of origin and trade offers, as well as trade-in services. We are confident that through your leadership, the determination of the AU member states, all bracketed issues should be resolved soon. We remain concerned about the impact of the global pandemic that the global pandemic caused on the continent. That is COVID-19, the COVID-19 virus, which resulted in thousands of fatalities. The COVID-19 pandemic arrived at a moment when prospects for many African countries were promising. At the beginning of 2020, Africa was on track to continue its economic expansion, with growth projected to rise from 2.9% in 2019 to 3.2% in 2020 and 3.5% in 2021. It is also equally important to state that important gains are being registered in poverty reduction and health indicators. We are witnessing unprecedented embracing of technology and innovation across the continent, particularly by young Africans, acting as early adopters of new platforms such as mobile money, which we call Momo here in Ghana. Distinguished guests, progress has also been made with respect to political unity and economic integration. The entry into force of the African Continental Trade Area in May 2019 promised to boost Africa trade by as much as 25% by 2040. Excellencies, we've all agreed that peace and security on the continent is a prerequisite to sustainable economic development. Accordingly, we must continue our efforts to silence the guns so as to achieve the Africa we want. We have decided to also prioritize infrastructure development to ensure seamless transportation of goods and services as we increase trade amongst ourselves. Furthermore, it is important to note that Africa enjoys some of the highest global returns on foreign direct investment. Several inclusive elections are increasingly the norm for many African countries, many of which are due now in 2020. At the same time, as with other regions of the world, Africa faced important challenges. It was not on track to achieve goals of the 2030 Agenda and Agenda 2063. Our progress is undermined by weak governance, environmental degradation, lack of economic diversity, and humanitarian and conflict situations, among others. The pandemic necessitated the postponement of the July 20 start date of trade under this AfCFTA, which delayed the promise of opportunities for new exports, jobs, investments in infrastructure and financing for Africa development. The huge economic effect of the crisis has led to exchange rate depreciations and a projected decline in Africa's GDP. The UN Economic Commission for Africa envisages a -2.6% contraction in terms of economic growth in Africa, depriving 19 million people of their livelihoods and pushing 29 million people into poverty. I wish to also state that government revenues in Africa are estimated to drop in 2020 by $45 billion from the pre-COVID forecast. This depreciation will further compound African countries' high levels of debt, which have increased to roughly $40 billion annually, driven higher by the depreciation of many African currencies in 2020. In 2020, African debt is expected to increase by about 4.4 percentage points of GDP and is thus likely to trigger a debt crisis and potentially a default by some countries. This pandemic has further exposed the entrenched inequalities between men and women and the plight of women and girls with regard to gender-based violence, particularly domestic violence. Education, economic empowerment, and financial inclusion of women and girls in Africa must be a priority to address these inequalities. Therefore, there is no time to delay the right and access of women to contribute and meaningfully participate in decision-making and policy development to ensure gender-responsive approach that is appropriately budgeted for in programs targeting the development of women and girls so that no one is left behind. Decades of progress to raise living standards and reduce poverty have now been replaced by increasing insecurity and inequality during this pandemic. The pandemic is a health, economic, and environmental problem. Its impact on the health of the population, economic activity, and social development are all interlinked, requiring us to have a comprehensive approach of inclusive and sustainable development. It is regrettable that COVID-19 has had huge implications on the upcoming extraordinary summit of the AfCFTA, which was originally scheduled to be held in South Africa in May 2020 and had to be postponed to the 5th of December 2020. And also the start of trading under the AfCFTA has also been moved from July 2020 to January 2021. However, Africa is a resolute continent. Today bears testament to our tenacity to rise in the face of adversity. Together, we will emerge stronger in a post-COVID-19 era to usher in prosperity and development on the African continent. The road to economic recovery may be long and pose many challenges, but we are ready to tackle and overcome any adversity when we act together. Excellencies, allow me once again to take this opportunity to wish you, Mr. Mne, all the best in your new role and assure you of the continent's confidence in your stewardship. In conclusion, as Chair of the African Union, I thank you, Mr. President, for your exemplary leadership and generosity in hosting AfCFTA Secretariat in Accra, Ghana. Medas, Siabonga. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, in accordance with the strict social distancing rule, please allow us to proceed with the second part of this morning's program with only a select few, but we have made arrangements so that you can watch all the activities after this on both screens in this room. Ladies and gentlemen, we now proceed with the inspection of the AfCFTA Secretariat offices with the VIPs. If I may have His Excellency President of the Republic of Ghana, along with his 4 esteemed guests on the stage, also joined by the ex-President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings. If I may have Chief of Staff, the Chair Council of State, Chief Justice, and also have Otumfuo's representative here today, joining His Excellency the President on this tour of the AfCFTA Secretariat offices. After that, the distinguished team, so to speak, will move outside where there will be a hoisting of AU and Ghana flags, a photo session, and we close the program officially with Ghana's national anthem. So, Mr. President, if I may kindly request that you be joined by your VIPs on stage, as well as the ex-President of the Republic of Ghana, President Rawlings. May I have the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps also joining this esteemed group to do an inspection of the AfCFTA Secretariat. If I may kindly request that everybody else remain seated. The activities will be beamed on the screens. If I may kindly ask that everybody else remain seated. Mr. President will be joined by the Chief of Staff, Chair Council State, Chief Justice. Of course, he has been joined by His Excellency, the President, the ex-President, Rawlings, and of course, Otumfuo's rep as well. Ladies and gentlemen, if you may kindly take your seats, may I ask that our honorable ministers, MPs, African ambassadors, CEO of GIPC, CDS, and IGP, join the President outside where the flags shall be hoisted and the Ghana national anthem be played. So I may ask our honorable ministers, our MPs, African ambassadors, GIPC CEO, CDS, IGP, and our elders to join us outside where the hoisting of the flags shall take place. If I may kindly request that everybody else remain seated as we acknowledge the safety protocols of COVID-19. The activity shall be beamed on the screen and you may be able to interact or join us through that. Thank you so much for your cooperation.
you.